Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I want to add my voice. I didn't have a speaking slot at the last meeting, so I didn't get a chance to thank Karen Vecchio for tremendous amount of work on this committee. And I've been on this committee. I was here for 2 years before she was chair, when Marilyn Gladue was chair, and did a wonderful job. But the last 3 years as well, with Karen as chair. And my understanding is, since she became chair in 2017, our committee has done 45 reports. And that is phenomenal. If you want to compare that to every other committee, the amount of work, the effectiveness, and I would say the fairness with which she chaired this committee is something that I think many other committees in this place could look to as an example. And I did want to say today, I have concerns. I am very worried about the committee. And not because of you, Shelby. I want to be very, very clear. I think every one of us is very proud of the work we've done and wants to work very hard to fight to keep this a space that does not give in to the toxicity that we see in other parts of Parliament and in other committees. But I do think that the Leader of the Opposition has been putting out a narrative that Parliament is broken, that democracy is broken, that Parliament is dysfunctional, that government members are so degenerate that there's no possibility of coming to consensus. And I think this committee, the way Karen chaired this committee, is living, breathing proof that that is not true. Every day that this committee was able to bring voices of women, bring voices of girls, of non-binary, of gender diverse people that are not heard, bring voices of victims and survivors, every day that we were able to do that and work collaboratively and with, I think, true respect and even friendship across party lines, we proved that Parliament can be functional, that Parliament is functioning, that democracy does work. And I truly think that by removing Karen Vecchio as chair, I think that Pierre Poilievre had to destroy that because it defies his narrative that Parliament is not working. And I would like very much, I'm imploring you, Shelby, because I think right now, I've done governance work for decades, and worked with parliaments here and around the world. And it is about incentives. It is about what's punished and what's rewarded. Every one of us comes to this place wanting to do good. I don't think there's a person that puts their name on a ballot that isn't doing so because they want to make Canada a better place. And particularly the women here who want to do good and bring voices of women into the halls of power in this place where we have been absent for too many generations. But once here, what happens is the incentives are against collaboration. This is a very partisan place. The structure, the very way in which it's formed, is two swords lengths. It was created in 150 or some years ago, and it was created by men, and it's been a very aggressive, very male-dominated place. And lately, there's been a toxicity that has come into our political, but whether it's here in Parliament or outside. And what Karen was able to do as chair, very, very effectively, was to keep that out. So whether it was through wedge issues or ambush motions that are meant to hijack agendas, or the gotcha clips on social media, or the character assassination that we sometimes see in our political discourse, she kept that out of this committee, and she was punished for it. And I think, Shelby, the lessons, because it wasn't just about Karen, it was about learning lessons. It was about teaching that collaboration and bringing voices of women is something that is not to be rewarded. I think the lessons I would really hope that you learn are the lessons from this committee of the last number of years. And I do believe very, very, very strongly that you want this committee to work, and we will support that. We, as all members of this, and we've seen all the members speaking, we will support you to make sure that what Karen did, where instead of listening to the voices of any one member of this committee, she listened to the voices of the witnesses and the voices of the women that came here that needed us to give them space. And I'm hoping very much, and we will support you in making sure you continue to do that. But it is an uphill battle because the way that this place is, I was a staffer here in 2002. I was in the Liberal Research Bureau for the Democracy Caucus when committee chairs were voted to be elected. And those of you who don't remember, so this is 22 years ago, there was a motion of Parliament. It was opposed by the government of the day, by the Chrétien government. but supported by backbench Liberals and opposition members. And they created the election of committee chairs, hoping to bring in a whole new era where committees would truly be independent and autonomous, and that the chairs would truly be independent of their parties, whatever party that was. And sadly, over the years, I think all of us know that that's become a little bit of a rubber stamp, where, yes, we elect committee chairs, but it's pretty much the whips, the House leaders, the leaders that decide who those chairs are. And because of that, the chairs are beholden to those whips, House leaders, and leaders, whatever party it is. And with that incentive structure comes, it can easily be abused. So I would like to do some positive today and come up with some ideas on how do we change as women. I mean, we've been able to do it here despite the way that Parliament is structured and the sort of very, very aggressive and partisan way. I think we need to, as women, maybe this committee, maybe the All-Party Women's Caucus, go back and look at some ideas of how committee chairs are selected, so that what happened to Karen doesn't happen. There was, in the Quebec legislature, they actually have a double majority for committee chairs. So a majority of government members and a majority of opposition members. And if you can't get both sides to agree, then you end up, at that point, you cannot be the chair. So the incentive is for the chair to, like what we're hoping you'll do and like what Karen did, the incentive is for the chair to be fair to both sides. We had a Conservative motion in 2012, I think it was Brad Trost, put a motion that committee chairs should be elected by the entire Parliament, the same way the Speaker is elected, with a preferential ballot before committees are even set. So that way, committees would be chosen, the chairs would be chosen by all of us, and not by the leadership or the whips. So I think it would be really good for us as women who have really given a space to other women to be able to be heard in Parliament, to champion those kinds of changes, because I think it is really important that what happened here does not happen ever again. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?